Good afternoon. I'm Adam Brown, Chief of Investigations, and I'm here to brief you on the officer-involved shooting from early this morning. At approximately 2:30 a.m., JSO received an unverified 911 call from a home in the 6200 block of Berry Drive West. While en route to the call, officers were advised that the call was upgraded to a call of someone shot at the residence. Officers arrived, approached the home on foot, and Officer J.P. Welch observed two individuals arguing in the garage. One of the individuals was armed with a handgun. Officer Welch, who was wearing his Class A police uniform, identified himself and directed the suspect to drop his weapon. The suspect did not comply and fired at the officers. Officer Welch returned fire with his issued patrol rifle, and the suspect fell to the ground. The officers advanced to take the suspect into custody, and the suspect again picked up the weapon and pointed it in the direction of the officers. Officer Welch again fired his rifle at the suspect, who then complied and was taken into custody. The suspect was transported to UF Health with non-life-threatening injuries. The original shooting inside the residence occurred when the suspect shot his nephew, who was asleep on the couch. Now this morning, if you'll remember, I told you that this was between two brothers. That was bad information, and we've since then clarified that it was between an uncle and his nephew. So again, the suspect shot his nephew, who was asleep on the couch. The nephew was shot, and then the suspect, his uncle, went into the garage where he was confronted by his brother, the father of the victim, prior to the arrival of police. The victim, who was originally shot by the suspect, was also transported to UF Health with a gunshot wound to the leg. It has been determined that all individuals involved in the argument and shooting prior to the arrival of police reside in the home where the incident occurred, and a .38 caliber revolver was recovered at the scene with 3 live rounds and 2 spent casings. And here's a picture of the weapon that was recovered at the scene. This is Officer Welch's only officer-involved shooting, and he will be placed on administrative leave per department policy. Now, if you have any questions, we have to answer them.
Day and training times union, how many times was the officer, he fired twice, was the suspect struck twice?
The suspect was struck once.
Struck once.
But yes, there were two separate incidents.
The first time was when he was wounded, and the second time was he missed, I guess. Would that be fair to say? That's
unknown at this time, but just to kind of recap, when the suspect fired at the officer, who then returned fire, the suspect fell to the ground. Whether or not it was from being shot or just to escape being shot, he fell to the ground. Then the officers advanced to take him into custody. That's when he tried to re-engage with his weapon, and the officer was forced to fire again.
Stephanie Brown with WOKB. Can you speak to how many shots were fired both by the officer and the suspect?
The officer fired a total of 14 shots. The first time he fired 9, and the second time fired 5.
And the victim? Or the
suspect,
person who, I'm sorry, the suspect,
yeah.
Yes.
The suspect, there were 2 spent rounds in what we believe is that one of them was used to shoot the victim that originally got the call started. The other was used to fire at police when we arrived.
Erica Bennett, Action News. Does the suspect, to y'all's knowledge, have any previous issues, incidents, record?
He does have a previous record, and I believe Melissa's going to give you a packet that's got all of the criminal history in it.
Sorry.
Dana, what is the officer's name, his first name? Do you have an initial there? What do you have their names?
It's Officer J.P. Welch. I just have it as J.P. We can get that.
But you don't have that. Okay.
I have the initials, but we can get that for you.
Can you speak to any motive behind the initial shooting between the nephew and uncle, or the uncle shooting?
There really appears to be no motive. It seems almost like he just came up and shot him for no reason. The victim was asleep on the couch.
Matt with WJXT. At any point during that altercation were neighbors or anyone in the community at risk for harm?
No, not at all. The shots all went into the garage. We did a search of the area. No other homes were impacted. There were no rounds that went through any houses or anything.
Dana Treen again, 14 shots, that seems like a lot. Can you explain why there
put it this way. If you go up on a call and somebody's shooting a handgun at you, 14 rounds may not seem like a lot to you. We're trained to fire until we eliminate the threat. And if you fire and the threat's not eliminated, you're going to keep firing until that happens. So my thought would be, if someone's shooting at you, you're going to have a much different perspective than we all have when we're sitting here talking about it in the drill hall.
Stephanie Brown, it says in the report here that the victim heard 2 shots, then noticed he had been shot. You said that the victim himself was only shot once. So did he actually sleep through getting shot, and then only after the shot was fired, officers woke up?
Every indication that we have was that there was only 1 shot in the house before the shot was fired at the police.
Daniel Attorney, what was the age of the nephew? Do you have that? You say?
That's going to be probably in the information that you have. I don't have that with me at this time.
We can get that.
Yes.
Stephanie Brown, were there any prior calls to this home or any history of domestic problems in the home at all?
That I don't have that. That is probably going to be in your packet, I'm assuming.
Any other questions?
Marcus White, Channel 4. Can you speak about the charges that the suspect will face here?
Absolutely. This suspect has already been charged with aggravated battery. That's for the shooting that first occurred in the home. And we have pending charges of attempted murder of a law enforcement officer that will come at a later date.
Any other questions?
How many officers in total responded to the incident?
2 officers, actually. You had the Officer Welch and then a backup officer. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Chief.